Now, I've been saying for years now, when I look into the biblical prophecies, I have been saying, and I do believe when I go by biblical prophecies, that the next pope is going to be a black African pope. And I believe this black African pope will be the pope that will ride the beast in the end time when the seventh and final resurrection of that beast happens, that we read of in Revelation, the 17th chapter. And he will head that Roman Catholic Church. And I think people in the Roman Catholic Church are sick and tired of this globalist pope and his policies. And he's not, he says he's Catholic and he's a devoted Catholic, but a lot of people, the conservative Catholics, believe that he is too liberal and he's not Catholic enough. And there are black African popes waiting in the wings, waiting to take over the church, and they are conservative Catholics. And even Leo Zagami, who follows the Vatican very, very closely, says most likely the next pope is going to be a black African pope. Now, why do I say this? Well, back in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, we have been saying that there's two phases at the bottom of the feet and toes, part potter's clay and part iron. That's NATO. Then comes the final phase and the final resurrection of the beast, the iron mixed with miry clay, as it says in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, verse 43. It says, whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay, meaning the miry clay. And we've shown you in that booklet, who is the beast of Revelation, that the miry clay represents the black African nations and some of the Arab nations as well, the northern African nations like Libya and the black African nations, and Egypt as well is going to be in this huge alliance with the beast, the iron mixed with miry clay. And there are plans of a so-called a Marshall type of plan that NATO did, but only this time Europe is going to do it, where they are going to have a Marshall Plan with Africa, and they're going to start recolonizing Africa. So it is in the works, and of course it's led by Germany. And I've shown you many, many news clips on that particular subject. Now, we see the woman. Now, remember it says here that they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another. Keep that in mind as we go to Revelation, the 17th chapter. Here we see a woman on top of a beast. And she's on top of the beast, guiding it, influencing it. And it's a church-state government. Now, notice what it says here in Revelation, the 17th chapter, verse 15. It says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples, multitudes, tongues, and nations. That's the same language we read in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, that they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. And this, of course, means the black African nations. Now, for Europe to colonize and have a Marshall Plan with Africa, and it's going to be a church-state government, I believe that the next pope is going to be a black African pope that's going to influence Europe to go into Africa and fix a lot of the problems that Africa has right now. And look what's happening right now. Africa is pretty much importing their problems into Europe. And now we're seeing them storming the borders of Greece right now. They're coming across the Mediterranean boats. The Europeans are fed up with all of this. I believe that a black African pope will try and solve these problems, influence Europe to go into Africa, recolonize it, have a Marshall Plan, and that way the iron will mix itself with the miry clay. And we see here the language that the horse sits on: peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. The miry clay, the black African nation. So that's why I believe the next pope is going to be a black African pope, and it's going to be that pope that's going to ride the beast one more time, and then comes the second coming of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So we're right there. You think all these problems of the Africans coming into Europe is an accident? No, this is prophecy being fulfilled right now in our time. So we could see in the very near future, the death of this pope, or maybe he'll retire because he's too sick, whatever. But what we do know is it's not going to be this pope. It's going to be the next pope. And most likely it's going to be a black African pope that's going to influence Europe to go into Africa and fix the problems in Africa. And that way they fix the problems in Africa and therefore the problems in Europe, because of course Africa is importing their problems into Europe. So I believe that this next pope is going to be a black African pope to influence Europe, influence Africa, to fix the problems that they both have, mix itself with the miry clay, and then comes the great tribulation and the second coming of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So I just wanted to share with you this this important news story that's coming out of the Vatican, and I believe it's going to be a black African pope, and that pope will ride that beast, have that church-state government with the beast, go into Africa, mix itself with the miry clay, and then comes the second coming of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Reporting here from the studios at BICOG Media, this is Peter Salemi.